Furious, deafening thunder cracked open the sky, its flash painting the stone fence and the inn's gate in stark light. The strange energy came from two spellcasters floating above the roof. "Heaven is going to punish the yin right now, and this is our moment," one man said with a dark grin. "I've already gathered our men," his friend replied, crossing his arms with total confidence. "The moment that divine punishment falls on them, we'll grab all their stuff for ourselves." Inside one of the fancy houses with red columns, loud shouts fill the courtyard because the mistress is already giving birth. It was Wu, her peaceful face twisting into a scream of pain. The girl is heavy, drenched in sweat with hair stuck to her forehead, clutching the blanket in agony while the healer urges her to push. In a pitch-black void suddenly lit by flashes of light, a voice calls out in wonder at the darkness before realizing they must be reborn. The shadows fade as the brilliant light of a new being comes into existence. As the energy around him shifts, the mysterious voice knows he has finally been reborn as I Ching Tian, a man who once walked this same world in a different time. The young man remembers that in a past life, he was too young to survive a car crash, but now he has been given a second chance. But he didn't jump into another world or the past. Instead, he was thrown straight into real hell. Luckily, he wasn't alone, and like any true hero, he had a system to help him out. As the boy mourned his past, his potential mother waited in suspense while the maids tried their best to ease her pain. Strange things started happening all around, with objects floating up in the air while the servants felt terrible. Unable to handle the tension, the girl fainted, and before long she heard someone ask what was happening and why the sky was punishing them. While elsewhere under a dark, stormy sky, Yezi was desperately stirring up a rebellion with his sword held high. The man refuses to accept the heaven's will, so he urges everyone to fight back with great excitement. But the heaven's strength is far greater than theirs, so the rebels get hurt, lose their nerve in a flash, and tumble down. The sky unleashes a massive bolt of lightning right onto the roof of that unlucky home. Even in the dark, the light waves are slowly making their way to Wu Suzu. "Damned if I wait for you to hurt my family, so I stepped out to save everyone." Lit up by his own bright blue spiritual power and the red glow of the moon, I Ching Tian's spirit body floated out of the room and hung in the air. In a rage, he shouts, "Who runs this place? Come out and face your death." Hearing his praise, the mysterious man gathers spiritual power around him and soars into the air. He looks furious with furrowed brows and demands respect, as his powerful aura and whipping hair show just how dangerous he is. But this boy isn't easy to beat. He fights back with words because they hurt his mother and try to stop him from being born, all while holding a whip made of lightning in his hands. The man recognized the shock-inducing God-submission whip and wondered where I Ching Tian had even gotten such a powerful tool from. With a roar of anger, the hero lashes out with his whip, hitting the man as hard as he can. After taking a few hard hits, the man gives up and begs his master to help him. A bright flash of lightning drops from the sky and shoots straight at the caster. As the man stood there, the air around him and the world he stood in shifted, bathing everything in a bright, sacred light. The man appeared possessed by his master, his eyes flashing gold as a furious god raged against the mortal for daring to defy the heavens. Ching Tian wonders if this towering presence is truly the Lord of the Nine Heavens, the most powerful spirit of all. The god feels as cold as ice, shutting out the hero's questions with a snap of his fingers before lunging to strike. With its teeth clenched and mouth twisted in anger, the inhuman creature screams that the man's spirit must die. His palm, glowing with golden light and swelling to a massive size, lunged straight at I Ching Tian. But the guy wasn't scared at all, thinking those childish tricks were nothing to him. Reaching into his hair, he pulls out a tiny, perfect wand and makes it grow hundreds of times bigger. Now he turns the weapon into a deadly tool that quickly cuts his enemy, a feat the hero pulls off with ease. God realizes his staff of ascension wounded him, but he can't figure out how the hero even got the King of the Apes tool, so he's left wondering what kind of man the hero is. But it looks like our hero has even more weapons up his sleeve, for a bright, sharp sword is now taking shape in his hand. The guy's presence twisted into a giant skull that breathed out strange fog, while I Ching Tian roared and charged straight into the attack. This bold man is throwing a dark shadow over the heavens and crushing me, so I'll have to use special moves to fight back as he gets ready to strike. A terrifying scene plays out below as dozens of lightning bolts smash into building roofs, sending them up in a roar of explosions and fire. But King Tian isn't perfect because he can't walk away from his family who are waiting for him there. He cursed God because he failed to defeat the enemy and lost his family. Thinking that no one would dare ask for such a thing, he sped his spirit home. Who was he, if any wild monster from the sky could hurt his family without getting caught? He poured every ounce of his strength into his spirit, creating a blazing glow around him that would blind anyone who wasn't used to such power. He strains with every ounce of his strength to stretch his spiritual power across the entire courtyard. This spell isn't easy and drains a lot of spiritual energy, so the young man is struggling hard, gritting his teeth, frowning, and watching sweat run down his face. Even though the lightning bolts faded and the hero stopped the god's attack, he is still furious. He points his finger up and yells that the god couldn't beat him. So instead, he got revenge on his family, making the deity's face twist in shock and disbelief that a young man could dare fight back against his wrath. Surrounded by flashing lightning, he wipes his mouth and whispers, "But it's not over yet," while Ying Tian clutches his chest, feeling a sharp sting that tells him the enemy has touched his sword. It turns out God has branded him with the seals of the 9 heavens. So even if he is born, he won't live long, because that is what happens to those who defy the will of heaven. And with a laugh, the god vanishes. With a groan, the guy realizes his opponent has run away, but that's fine because they'll meet again. After surviving such a terrible and bloody battle with the heavens, the bloodied man leans on his sword, trying to rise despite having no strength left. The loud cry of a child echoing from his home gives the man a second wind and brings him joy, making him wonder if he truly has a son. Then a chubby little baby pops into view, grinning and waving with pure joy. Suddenly, a flood of red alarms crashes down on the hero's head, warning that his health is dangerously low. Because the system caught the plastic rings, it has locked itself down to stay safe. The shocking messages make King Tian jump to action and pull up the table where they can see what everyone is really like. To his frustration, all his stats were 0, his skills and energy were locked away, and the guy's mind drifted back to dirty thoughts, remembering exactly what that god had done to him. The man asks the system to tell him how many attribute points he has left. The girl quietly tells him the hero still has 1,000,000,000 points, but they've all been stamped on. The guy keeps cursing while the girl on top tells him he's bleeding out and losing his life energy, so she offers her help and gives him the cure, even though he can only reach the system space and its items since the rest is sealed. If he takes this, the bleeding inside him will finally stop. Ting Tian sighed in relief, as the system told him that the bleeding had finally stopped. The guy immediately starts pressuring the girl to learn his technique right away, claiming that only the toughest will survive in this world. Now that the boy had lost all his points and could no longer grow stronger, the girl came up with a clever plan. By staring into the desperate eyes of a ferocious beast, you can pierce your opponent's soul, shatter their mind, and take control of their body. While the man worked through his troubles, his dad finally made it home to his wife and asked how she was doing. When he saw his wife, he let out a long breath of relief and gently stroked her hair. He stared in amazement and saw a little kid standing right next to the girl. The boy also watches his own dad with a curious and wrapped-up interest, tears streaming down his face and pure joy in his heart. The man lifts the child up and looks at him closely. The system can't help but join the happy mood and peek at the cute moment from the side. But that happy moment didn't last long, because the man suddenly started bleeding from inside his body. Technically, the medicine was still in his system to stop the bleeding, so he had no choice but to cry. A worried man asks why his son is crying, but the moment his tears touched the baby's face, the child instantly stopped sobbing. He froze in awe as he felt his own broken heart suddenly mend. The idol's peace is shattered when Ye Hiang bursts in, screaming that the 4 great clans are coming to kill everyone and steal their land. Those words made the man so angry that he suddenly wondered how many lives a person could actually have. 2 known magic users charged into the E-clan's land, forcing its people to bow down because their powerful spells were too strong for anyone to resist. Dongfeng and Bing Chongqing pressed their attack hard, leaving the E-clan with terrible losses and their leader, Easy Feng, badly hurt, for he had lost all strength to fight back. Chongqing's face twisted into a horrible smile as he finally thought the wealthy southern lands were theirs to take. Xiong roars as he charges into the courtyard, declaring that our clan's fate won't rest on 2 rats, and then he leaps straight at them. The spellcasters struggled to hold their ground against the man's beam of light, wondering how he managed to do it. He wasn't hurt at all, yet he unleashed power like a top-tier lord while the caster poured all his energy into defending him. Yezapeng burned with fury, wondering if they truly meant to wipe out the whole Ye family, so he unleashed another powerful spiritual attack on the confused opponent. A razor-sharp blast of energy is heading straight for the center, and the evil caster can't dodge it. You don't know the power of the heavens. Yidafeng rumbled deep in his chest. Dongfang Hai stares at his hurt partner in horror, shocked that his own strength couldn't handle this sudden twist. The man ducked while muttering to himself that it was a trap, realizing they had pretended to be weak to lure them there, but knowing a hero never fails and always walks away. The clan leader growls in rage, asking if you think you can hurt his family and survive it, before chasing the fleeing man with his sword and brutally cutting off his arms and legs as the man screams in pain. Unluckily for Dongfai, but luckily for Izafong, the sneaky spellcaster can't run away and falls hard to the ground, splashing blood from his many deep cuts. He sneered, asking if there was anyone better than you to do the job, and couldn't believe they sent a loser like you here. Knowing there is no way out, Dongfang begs his elder for help, his voice and lips bubbling with despair. But his prayers worked, and a glowing dot appeared in the sky, sending out dark waves of energy. An ancient man steps out of the swirling portal, radiating a terrifying power that belies his old age, and he scolds his apprentice by calling him an idiot. The hero looks at the man and feels a strange sense of recognition, wondering if he truly belongs to the dragon and tiger sect, while Qing Tian knows this old man is far stronger than his own father. With a gentle whisper, the caster spoke a chilling message to Yezi, telling her that he was giving her one last chance to end her own life. He is so strong it makes sense he joined such a powerful group, and he keeps his cool instead of letting fear take over. He wields power nearly as great as the god of war, causing a clan spellcaster to panic and beg for guidance, while Dongfang Hai mocks the trembling elder's claim of strength, wondering why this powerful figure from the Dragon and Tiger sect would dare threaten a family that has never insulted them. The elder didn't care about justice, saying, "You don't know what's right or wrong," and ordered the man to kneel, so Qing Tian saw in awe that his father couldn't refuse and sank to his knees easily. The little one became so angry that he felt a fierce urge to kill. All he could think of was a burning, never-ending anger that just needed to get out. His eyes fixed on the shaking elder, whose face was streaked with rage, while a dark vow to destroy his soul echoed in the boy's mind. Things started to turn against the elder as his eyes rolled back, and he felt like he was losing control of his body. Something strange is happening, like someone has slipped into his head. "Bastard, you just knocked my father to his knees," and the rude old man, confused and panicking, immediately asks who you are without any ceremony. The King Tian spirit has trapped a large, scary creature from the spirit world, and is now ordering the old man to bow down to it. But in the real world, no one could tell what was truly happening. To those watching, the elder just seemed to float in midair, frozen in a half-hearted stare. Suddenly, the old man's spiritual shield broke, and blood poured from him. The caster grew too weak to stand and sank to his knees right in front of Yan's father, knowing that such a fall was impossible to avoid in the real world. Dong Fungi couldn't understand what was going on, so he screamed in anger and fear, yelling, "Elder, do something! Hurry up and kill Izafong," while watching the scene unfold in a panic. The old man wept with despair, begging to live one more time and promising he would never step foot in the Yi family's territory again. The clan elder grew so lost in wondering what was happening and why the other elder was called emperor that he started to fear he had lost his mind. The old caster started making excuses, claiming he was just following an order from heaven, but Qing Tian wasn't fooled and warned him that no one who insults him would ever leave this world alive. He tells the elder to die, and the moment after, the caster is ripped apart by his own power. Dongfang was so stunned he couldn't speak, because seeing an emperor-level master in the Ye family was simply impossible. Seeing the caster distracted, the clan leader grabbed his chest with bare hands and slid across it, knowing that if his master fell, he would fall too. Finally, he's completely sorted out and can finally relax as Yeezy gazes at his son with love and admiration. But what he saw made his heart stop, because his son's face was frozen in a silent scream. A cold sweat broke out on the man's skin as he urgently called for a doctor, wondering what had happened to his son. The system alarm rings again, warning that host health points are dangerously low and begging you to stop the bleeding while you're still alive, even as Tian's father panics and fumbles with his son, unsure of what to do. The child's eyes rolled back, his teeth ground together tight as sweat poured off him like hail. The system watches in horror, feeling just a little bit confused. The girl sifts through her supplies to find the endless healing potion in the old room, knowing it's time to mend herself again. The hero knows that without this elixir, he would have died long ago, but luckily the bleeding has finally stopped. By now, an assistant had managed to get Dr. Hang Looney and his granddaughter, Huang Yao Yao, safely back. The hero's dad rushes to say they arrived just in time and asks to heal his son, who is vomiting blood nonstop. The doctor promises to keep the young master safe so the father can rest easy. The spellcaster gathers his energy to heal the baby, But then his eyebrows shoot up and his eyes go wide with shock. How could this have happened? The man stammered in shock. Izafeng jumped up suddenly, shouting questions, but the doctor asked him to calm down because his son was perfectly safe. But there was a catch. The young master was born with blocked energy channels and an undeveloped body, a shocking diagnosis that stunned his father. The healer gently tries to calm Yizafeng and reminds him not to panic, recalling an ancient scroll that says the king's blood can clear any blockages in the pantheon, chi, or battle meridian. The baby listened eagerly to the old man, who warned that normal doctors don't understand the power of royal blood. And sadly, since his case is so unique, neither a king's nor a god's blood can break the seal inside him. One spellcaster steps in unexpectedly, but Izayong refuses to let the marriage end over the child's lack of training skills. The healer suggests that since his father won't mind, he'd be happy to take his granddaughter in as a maid for the young master. Ziyong politely tries to say no, but the old man won't take it because the patriarch once saved his life, an act of kindness as great as heaven's. So Yao Yao is ready to serve the young master. The girl kneels and bows, promising to care for the young master forever, and the man, with no other choice, agrees to let her serve him and pledges that her family will be treated with kindness. The healer spoke up about something very important. Since the young master had just been born, he surely needed a name. Yizafeng thought that with my son now here, the Yi family might grow stronger, but for now, the heavenly kingdom has no chance. I gave him the name Yi King Tian, and the child smiled with pure joy. The little girl loved the name just as much. The girl looks kind and steady as she holds the baby and rocks it in the cradle to calm it down. It works because the boy falls asleep in just a few seconds. He dives into his own mind and runs into a system where they face a golden river of air, and he is just 1 point away from filling it all the way. The system chuckled and told you to be lucky, since you found a true reader, then asked who that person was. The 9 seals match the 9 heavenly books, so you must find 9 readers to unlock the mystical energy inside you. Guy sums it up by saying that only a reader made for books can make me unleash the power needed to break the seal. At this pace, I'll have to wait 18 whole years just to crack open the first seal. A bright dot appeared in the sky and sent out waves of blinding light. The sight drew the crowd's attention, and cries of divine light directed at the 4 echoed around them as people realized these were the rare daughters of the 4 great families. The light beam drifted down until it touched the house roof. A bright golden star with 5 points fell down into the Li family's yard. Yet another one, already radiating a cold bluish light, was sailing down toward the eastern family's palace. A blazing red 5-pointed star fell down onto the mountains where the Yue family lived. And lastly, a blue-purple glow appeared right above the Wu family's baby. Finally, the 4 families rise to power, leaving the mighty Emperor Aizong to wonder how he can guard the southern lands when his heir is born weak and without a legacy. His son is weak now, but will grow strong in 18 years to impress his 4 powerful families of the ceremony, even though they all feel the rich southern land isn't right for them. 18 years has been enough to build an unstoppable army, leaving the Ye family powerless against us as the clan leader grinned with evil delight. Now, 18 years have slipped by, and Yao Yao and Ye King Tian have grown into young girls who rest peacefully under a tree, sharing stories together. Ying Tian teased and poked the girl, who scowled and declared she'd never sing for him again. The young man grew serious, gently placed his hand on her cheek, turned her to face him, and promised he would stop joking because she was the woman he was going to marry. She felt her heart melt and settled her head on his shoulder. For 18 years, Yao Yao has sung ancient songs to him to crack open the first seal, and with only 98 points remaining, the end is finally in sight. Over the past 18 years, willows have joined the spruce trees in the planting. A golden-winged bird has hatched and joined the man's collection of pets, though its razor-sharp talons are dangerous enough to cut deep with just a scratch. Ying Tian held up a snarling werewolf dog that looked just like a human. The loyal pet dashed to the hero to share a shocking discovery. The demon king who brought him back to life using the monkey king's blood has been found, and his father is racing there to steal that blood and unlock the hero's special powers. It looks like the hero's dad is a stick in the mud, so Yi King has to head over there fast, or he's going to be in big trouble. The young man packed his sweetheart onto his giant golden bird and flew off to their destination. Qing Tian carefully wrapped his arm around the girl to catch her before she slipped, and he warned her that the wind was blowing hard right there. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Yikinkin's father and his clan were marching toward the king. Before a servant could chase the demon King Yizung, he stopped him and insisted they must get the king's blood to save his son. Everyone gasped as the tree root monsters suddenly zoomed toward the people, reaching out to grab them. It's a terrible situation because they are trapped, fighting desperately against the vines. The attack was led by Lu Fun and the old man from the Qing Yung sword sect, and though the patriarch may have learned the Demon King's secrets, those words will die with him. Everyone falls, and the spellcaster sends out even more roots to pull them down. The agile creatures wrap around the men and squeeze them with all their might, shattering their ribs and forcing blood to spill out. The girl's sharp ears heard the screaming victims in the woods, which told the lovers they were close enough for Chin to suddenly flare with rage at anyone who dared hurt his father. He ordered his pet monkey to sprint to his rescue. An unexpected blue light suddenly filled the battlefield, leaving the caster confused. From the glowing light, a giant beast rose with a deep rumble, the hero's old pet, as terrified people screamed and ran away from the Ape King. The creature steps so hard it makes the ground crack, and the noise is so loud you can't hear anything else. The old caster flies off to the side, making his friend cower in fear. A giant monkey snatches the man's leg and hoists him into the air while he screams in terror. The beast slowly and eagerly pulls the man close to its mouth, where rows of sharp teeth wait to bite. But the monster won't eat him. Instead, it whips its huge paw around to slam the caster down to the ground. It looks like hurting people makes him happy, and right now, the monkey is about to stick a man on a tree trunk while the man begs for his life. But the creature won't stop. It lands a hard hit that finishes the job it began. Luong swallowed his fear and stepped forward to fight, knowing that slaying the Demon King would finish his test and earn him a place among the sword sect's disciples. The caster wields a unique weapon, a green rainbow sword passed down from his family. The young man yanks his weapon free and screams as he charges at the giant beast. But that pathetic little man is just a tiny tooth against such a huge, powerful beast, and the ape knocks him out with a single punch. Lu soars high and far into the sky, letting his family's sword fall from his hand. The weapon hits the ground, leaving its blade resting right in front of the Y Clan patriarch. The monkey turns his angry eyes toward the man. The patriarch saw it as his one shot to give his son royal blood. But the giant monkey reaches out and grabs the sword right out of the dirt. She quickly thrusts her sword toward Yiching Tian's father. Seeing things turn bad, Yiching Tian quickly tells the creature to save his father's life with its blood, without even a second's doubt. The creature quickly slashes its arm with the sword, doing exactly what its master commands. Xiang didn't know what was happening because he was already ready to fight. Blood started dripping straight into the bucket held by one of the clan's spellcasters. Before you knew it, the bucket was overflowing with blood. This mad creature is wasting his royal blood for nothing, and I can't understand why he's doing it. Once its job was done, the creature turned and strolled calmly back into the deep woods. The patriarch has accepted his fate, knowing that as long as the king is truly there, whether he is sane or not doesn't matter. Not far from where the fighting had just ended, the rocky rubble began to shake, and a hand pushed its way out from underneath. The sword sect caster Qing Zheng, already known to everyone, groaned and wheezed as he dragged himself out from under the rubble. He was certain everyone had gone, but he was wrong because he suddenly saw someone's feet stepping into his view. I told you he wasn't dead, and you'd better believe a master of the wood technique doesn't die that easily, until a loud voice boomed from above his head. The old spellcaster flew into a rage, shouting threats before unleashing his root spell. The lover eagerly urges Ying Tian to be careful, but the man secretly laughs, knowing that such childish tricks won't fool him. He builds a spiritual shield so strong that the roots shatter and snap right at the impact. Suddenly, one of the pieces breaks free and smacks right into the caster's own forehead. The man screams in agony, collapses face down on the ground, and an odd object tumbles out of his robes. The hero lifts the object and stares at the strange words carved in the stone that say Heavenly Realm. The hero is no longer surprised to see the sky beings, but the girl cuts through his thoughts to say they must go home before it gets too dark. King Tian nods in agreement, noting that his father must be searching for him right now, while the temple will have to wait until they can spare a moment to look into it. The young men and their whole clan made it back home safe and sound. The old man pours the beast's warm blood into a bowl and slowly finds his son. The guy stands in the doorway with his lover, playing the part of someone who knows nothing. He is handed a bowl of blood with the news that his father will help him clear his meridians today. Yitsuong points lovingly at the bowl and smiles, promising that drinking the royal blood will make him a mighty cultivator. The boy steps closer to his father, stammers that it might not work, but his father is set on trying it anyway, insisting that the only way to know is to test it. The guy says he'll take a drink, but only if his dad and the whole family do it right along with him. Xiang asked his son if he was serious, and the boy nodded with a confident smile. The head of the family commands his servant to call everyone in right away. He set it up that way because he doesn't need royal blood himself, but he knows the family will need it. Let them drink and gain their strength. Half an hour later, everyone is gathered in the hall, and after a toast, the patriarch offers each person a cup to drink to their family's future, and they all cheerfully raise their cups high to toast to the young master. From his pockets, the young man pulls out a glowing pill from somewhere strange. After the final battle drained his father's strength, he sees the chance to help by tossing a blood pill to him. He passes bowls of liquid back and forth with his father, all while pretending it's just a polite gesture. The head of the family happily takes the drink and vows to finish every single drop. Itching Tion watches his father finish every drop, knowing that as he breathes, the new power is about to wake up. Xiong wiped the last drop from his cup, then froze as a strange feeling started to stir inside him. A surge of power filled the room, sending goosebumps racing across my skin like a jolt of electricity. At first, the man was scared, but in just a few seconds he was overwhelmed by joy and a holy power that filled him, bringing a bright and wonderful feeling over his whole body. Lightning crackled all around the house as Yang finally broke through to the power of a god of war. Patriarch Zhang peered out the window and saw the lightning, wondering if someone from the Ye family had reached the god of war level. The man climbed onto the wagon and led his army of knights charging toward the lightning, with the wind howling wildly around them. Just then, a servant from the report rushed into the Yi family hall. For families have arrived at the eastern gate, and the patriarch is shocked because their sudden appearance means his son's awakening ceremony will be rushed. Qinchin quickly grabs his lover's hand and pulls her away, but she doesn't know his secret plan and just asks where they're going. The guy says he'll head to the east entrance, eager to find out what secrets lie waiting there. The girl and her lover climb to the balcony of the tall building so they can watch everything from above. One of Patriarch Xiang's knights yells at the gate, wondering why no one is there to welcome them. It seemed like a lot of folks were already hanging out by the gate. Another knight warns that Yezong is acting with cruel arrogance and vows to have his whole family wiped out the moment he returns to the emperor. A regular farmer walking by gets so mad at what the man just said that he shouts, "You crazy person! Are you crazy to speak the city lord's name like that?" The knight wasn't used to being spoken to like that, so his eyes narrowed in anger and he jabbed his spear at the man. A pebble shot from the side, speeding straight at the two fighting groups. The projectile whizzed past the worker's shoulder and struck the spear tip of the knight. The clash was so hard it sent the spear flying from the guard's grip, leaving Shintan to cheerfully toss pebbles into the air. Just as the knight saw the man coming closer and shouted in anger, Qing Tian calmly blocked his strike and said, "If you want to fight, pick someone who can handle you." His careless attitude makes the man furious, his eyes burning with rage and his teeth grinding as he screams, "You bastard, you're dead," before lunging forward to strangle the caster. Ing Tian still tosses the pebbles with a carefree smile, getting ready to let one fly. A big stone zooms straight at the guardian. The sharp object breaks through his armor, tears out of his back, and makes him scream like a horse. The man's legs spasm, and he rolls across the floor in agony, bleeding out while Yi Tian watches with a sneer. "So, what did you promise to do to Yi's family?" the young caster asks as he steps on a man's back, burning him with a hateful look. The guard can't get a word out of him because his eyes are blurry and his throat makes wet, wheezing sounds. This hard hit is his punishment for everything he said about the Ye family, because Yi King Tian's anger has no limit. The carriage's fabric shivers and a slender shape slips out from it. The four girls from the Yuding, Liu Yi, Wu Yin, and Dongfangping families all gather together. The Oriental girl is furious that she had to watch the fight and yells that the princesses are here, demanding that every member of the Ye family bow to them, or else Yeezy Fun will get fired. Suddenly, a clear voice cut through the air, asking, "What princesses? Do you know where you are?" It was Yao Yao speaking, but all the princess could do was yell her name back in confusion. The knight from a four family steps forward and glares down at the girl with a threatening look. But Yiking Tian carefully avoids hurting his girlfriend while focusing his intense stare and using his power to command others. The man's chest feels like it's being crushed by the weight of the spell, forcing blood from his mouth as he gasps for air. Princess Dongfang didn't see this coming, so she gasped in shock, only for that surprise to flip into rage as she screamed, "What did you do?" while the four girls turned around, confused and curious about this stranger. At the sound of the question, the guy gives a smug, self-centered smirk. He shouts out his name as Yin from the Ye family and sneakily declares that he's going to be their fiancé. The girls were furious at his rude behavior, and the princess could not believe he spoke to them that way. So within seconds, the order was given to kill the insulting Ying Tian. The guards quickly pulled out their swords and aimed them at the young mage. As the young man just stood there with a shrug, the guards lunged forward with their swords drawn. A sharp cry of enough made everyone freeze, much to the main character's anger. King Tian's uncle, Yi Hifeng, was furious that the guards had dared to attack the young master right inside his own home. The young spellcaster fails to see the situation isn't serious, so she keeps shouting angrily while the man quickly reminds her that he could have easily slapped her twice. The princess stubbornly promises that when they get back to the capital, she will tell her father to send an army and flatten the town. Her uncle Dongfang Jin steps out of the carriage to apologize for her immature and unhappy behavior, and the head of the Ye family graciously accepts their apology. The girl begged so hard, saying she absolutely did not want to be his fiancée. A man steps forward, spins around, and gives the girl a sharp slap. A heavy, suffocating silence falls over everyone as Hyong sneers down at the trembling girl, while desperate tears well up in her eyes. The guards squint at Dunfin, their eyes full of questions. The man steps forward, his voice filled with fury as he demands to know why Ye Hiang dared to strike the princess, only for the princess to retort that she has no wish to listen to any insults aimed at the young master. Patriarch Dongfang throws in one final jab about the protagonist's weak spiritual body, then spins around and orders everyone to get out. Within moments, her face swells with a bruise, and with a hurt expression, she asks why they are leaving, only for her uncle to reassure her that they will wait for the awakening ceremony, so the Yai family can pay for their mistake. They walk away, even as the regular people keep shouting insults at them. A few hours later, the furious patriarch of East Castle Manor demanded to see what special powers his abused daughter would awaken. The other patriarch explained that he had found the young caster's energy lines clogged, which made it impossible for anything to awaken during the day. The old man grins wildly and asks his brother what he thinks about it. The one agrees that he surely thinks the same. If the awakening fails, Xiang's family can cancel the marriage, forcing him to step down. Another father saw his chance when his son quietly wandered the city to kill him, but then the creak of the door cuts off their talk. A servant whispers that he hasn't seen the princesses from the 4 families in ages. He worried the Yi family might have done it, but the family head insisted it wasn't them since it's their home, and they wouldn't be so mean, leaving everyone confused about where the girls had gone. By late afternoon, Yiqing Tian and Yao Yao sat on the candlelit porch, where he muttered nonsense to himself while she just listened. With just 98 points left, the very first seal is about to break open. The girl asks Maul excitedly, "Tomorrow is the awakening day. What will he do? Because the girls will refuse to marry him if he doesn't awaken his power." Yidian looks like he doesn't care about the mess at all, just shrugging and saying he has no idea what's going on. A servant stepped in to announce that someone wished to see the young master, but he couldn't quite make out their face. The door creaks open, the guy steps outside, and there's a dark figure in a hoodie waiting for him. The girl who pulls back her hood is one of the family's princesses. The girl came to apologize for the afternoon's trouble, and tonight she saw that since they were engaged, it had to be fate. A young princess presses close to a man and begs him to take her to meet the other girls, and when he asks where they are, she tells him they're high up in the mountains. If he's ready to stop fighting with them, she'd be happy to walk him there. He nods with a smile and agrees. He puts his arm around the girl and says, "Let's go." And after a while, they finally arrive to find the other 3 girls waiting for them. The girls pretend to love him and start hugging Yiqing Tian. He has no idea what's happening, but is having the time of his life. The Zhang clan princess smiled tightly, her muscles locking up as she readied herself to strike. Amidst cries of anger and hurtful words, she throws him over the edge with every bit of strength she has left. Everything happened in a blink, so the guy never had a chance to know what was going on before he suddenly found himself flying through the air. The girls watch closely as he screams and speeds toward the ground. Did that fool really think the princesses would fall for him? Well, his bad luck is finally over because he's already dead. One of the girls is haunted by her conscience and wonders if they did the right thing, but Dongfang assures her that they only made their lives easier. Ding Din looks down and is terrified by the dizzying drop, realizing that Qing Tian would surely have fallen to his death. Fortunately, Yiqing Tian survived the landing without a scratch, laughing it off, and he planned to teach the girls a lesson when he got back. The boy leaped down from the tree and started looking around at everything. Following him, another pair of clawed feet touched down softly. The young caster's werewolf dog tells him it has learned how a group of mercenaries plans to kill the Yai family. The hero asks how many there are, and the pet answers that 438 people are waiting for orders to kill his family. Yiqing Tian sneered. Then it was time to begin. The werewolf knew what to do and slid back from his chair. From far away, a soft voice calls out to the young master, and King Tian realizes it's his lover, amazed that she managed to find her way here. The girl was terrified because her love had vanished suddenly, and tears of heartbreak welled up in her eyes. He steps closer, offers a soft smile to tell her he's really there and she doesn't need to cry. Yao Yao flings herself into his arms, her heart swelling with joy that her friend is safe. A golden-winged bird swoops down to them, and the man says it's time to leave because the ceremony is starting. As evening fell, crowds from every town and village came pouring in to catch a glimpse of the young master. The heads of the 4 families and the princess are here, too, while Patriarch Zhang wonders where his daughter was last night, and she claims she was just out with her sisters. From their high perch, the leaders of the Ye family watch the crowd flow past like a river. Ying Tian's uncle tells his brother that his son vanished last night, and though he sent people to look, they haven't found him yet. The old leader's anger flared when he started wondering if this was really their doing. He decides to dig deeper, knowing that if something happens to his son, no one will get away with it. While Princess Dongfang smiles with satisfaction as the show is about to begin, she wonders how it will end for your family. The crowd starts mocking the patriarch, sarcastically asking why the awakening ceremony hasn't begun since it's long past time, while a nearby man supports the patriarch, believing someone is too scared to attend the revival. A dark wave of insults sweeps through the crowd, with people cheering on the troublemakers and hurling hateful names at Yiqing Tian. Some jokingly say the patriarch should cancel the wedding to avoid making himself look bad. Xiang is struggling to stay calm as people mock his son in public. A loud and serious voice boomed across the square, pulling every pair of eyes to me. Princess Dongfang couldn't believe the guy was still alive after falling from that height and didn't understand how he survived. In his mind, Patriarch Zhang playfully teases the young man, knowing they still have a way to escape the marriage since his worn-out body won't wake up. Xiang chuckles at his son's fear, teasing him for getting so spooked, only for the boy to deny it and claim he was just taking a walk. The girl caught what they said, yet she still couldn't figure out why he had called his dad. Patriarch Zhang tells Patriarch Ye to begin the ceremony because the young master has already arrived. King Tian agrees with this idea, and his father comforts him by saying that even if he can't master martial arts, there are plenty of other paths to follow. The hero asks Yao Yao to sing the ballad one more time, and she jumps at the chance with a big smile. Every word she speaks chews away the points until there are none left at all. 18 long years have passed, and the seal is finally broken open. The guy turns his angry face toward the heavens, shouts that they can no longer seal him, and bleeds out until he dies. The bright, sunny day suddenly turns dark as heavy cloud cover the sky and loud thunder crashes overhead. Lightning crackled and rage filled Guy as he spoke to the crowd. You wanted to kill me? It's a shame, but you won't get another chance. Guy asked the system how many attribute points he got when he broke the first seal. He gets 1 billion in return, but it feels so small he frowns and asks for it to count toward his health. Yiqing Tian's health started to get better and better really fast. After getting his powers back, the guy felt unstoppable, knowing no one in this place could ever match him. The sky, which had been ready to crush Yan, suddenly felt his growing power and unleashed a storm of angry lightning across the land. The boy peered closely and realized this power wasn't a curse from heaven, but something else entirely. Could the hero's blood be the secret behind it? Qing Tian then asked the system if it can see this. Steely reads, first-level martial arts, and the gawkers laugh at him, claiming they've never seen such a weak level of fighting. As people scattered and their words grew cruel, Patriarch Zhang stared in shock at the haggard stranger, wondering how such a wasted frame could possibly master a first-level martial art. With 9 martial arts classes where the 9th is the strongest, the hero is too weak compared to the girls to ever become their husband. Qing Tian looked odd because he had only opened the first seal, leaving the other 8 locked and his powers blocked, which meant he couldn't reach a normal level of martial arts. The guy asked the system to bring up a panel showing all his personal details. Now that the synthesis is done, your martial arts, the cauldron of life, one of the 9 sacred cauldrons, your desperate pupil skill, and other special powers are all ready to be unlocked. He asks the system what his extra cauldron of life means, but the girl is only brave enough to suggest it might be because of his new body. While Yiqing Tian sat there deep in thought, people kept hurling insults at him, which made his uncle furious, especially since he was a 9th-level martial emperor known as a martial emperor. People were screaming that the first level was too shameful and that marriage itself should be ended, and even Patriarch Zhang sided with them. Once the caster's patience snaps, he hurls a blast of spiritual energy straight at the patriarch. The man was completely caught off guard by the sudden attack, leaving him no time to protect himself. Zhong boldly promised that even if his son can't practice magic, they won't stop looking for a wife. The patriarch's anger flamed up, and he placed a hand over his heart, shouting that he wanted to start a family war. But Yifeng laughed and said, "Jiang, you threaten me with war, yet I am not afraid. 8 war emperors, 39 war warriors, and 70 war kings can't all be the strongest Ye family members the patriarch counted." After the clan members drank the king's blood, their power skyrocketed to a level so terrifying that even the mightiest clans couldn't possibly match them. So this wouldn't scare them at all. Iching Tian asked his father to let him take charge, convinced that a young person like himself will handle things far better than anyone else. Yao Yao whispers a caring plea to her lover to watch out for himself, and he gently strokes her shoulder to comfort her. The young man speaks to the girls, saying that if they can kill him this time, it's fine to them since their marriage is now ended, and they are shocked by what he has said. Yao Yao is unhappy because while everyone else has reached high levels, he is stuck at level 1 and cannot fight them. Princess Dongfang began shouting curses because he asked for it, and she swore she would kill him. The girl screams goodbye and grabs the sword, pointing the blade right at the guy's face. Your sudden, sharp lunge nearly missed, only to graze Yiken's forehead and spill blood. That scary image made Yitzwang's skin crawl, so he lunged forward yelling for his son. One family did it for a reason, and his brother followed suit and did the exact same thing. While everyone around him is panicked and stunned by what happened, Iching Tian just stands still like a statue. Even though the injury has left him feeling a bit weak, he tells his loved ones not to worry about him. Everyone was shocked to see the boy's wound start to heal, his face glowing with a sudden, bright light. The young man teases his opponent, asking her to try again, but she is left in shock because he has a secret trick up his sleeve. His eyes turn icy as he whispers, "Can't make up your mind," before loudly offering help and sliding onto the princess's sword. The move was too fast for the girl, so she froze in place, unsure of what to do next. But the guy keeps mocking her and asking for more hits, until everyone starts thinking it's just a ghost or a trick of the light. Seeing how upset Ying Tian looks, the girl shoves him away and slowly draws her sword. But Yiking Tian just finds this funny and watches the princess with a half smile. The girl warns him that approaching her again means death, but the hero just laughs and suggests they try killing her together. The girls grab their swords and step forward, wondering how they could let such a chance slip away. The Li princess looked grave and said he asked for it. She leaps high into the air with a deafening cry, diving down to strike the defenseless Yiching Tian. While the crowd around him screams curses in anger, the guy just stands there laughing at the girls and taking every hit until he's completely drained. The girl keeps charging forward, while the guy just stands there with his arms wide open, having no way to defend himself. The Li princess struck the hero in the chest with her sword so hard that he lost over 2,000 health points. The crowd watches in shock, then starts to feel angry that the hero refuses to die, with some even whispering that a great power is keeping him alive. The Ye family watches with puzzled faces, wondering what on earth is happening. Yi King Tian's beloved watches as Yi King Tin looks on with excitement, while she grips her hands tightly from the emotions that are nearly too much to bear. The girl shouted in anger that she'd never marry such a man, revealing she had dug up his dark past and found he had gone to a brothel when he was just a boy. Patriarch Zhang steps in with no care for his tricks, insisting that the marriage must end right now. A fierce wind suddenly blows, but Patriarch Yang uses his power to move quickly out of the way. The caster stops him from thinking he's the big shot, warning that hundreds of hired killers are ready to wipe out his whole family the moment he gives the nod, leaving him no choice but to turn down the marriage. But the man stubbornly keeps his ground, gritting his teeth as he kisses them, proving they are in no way refusing. He asked not to be blamed for the family's loss, and then dozens of fireworks exploded in the sky as he signaled. Xiang orders his warriors to get ready for the fight. Meanwhile, hundreds of defeated mercenaries are lying in the courtyard, all taken out by the hero's pet werewolf. After a while, the Patriarch's hired guards still hadn't shown up, so Yi Qingqin happily decided to call him out on it. The caster's brows knitted tight, and his eyes narrowed to tiny slits as he stared in shock, completely unable to figure out how that was even possible. He points a finger at the young man and demands to know if Yi Qing Tian killed his soldiers, but the man says nothing to deny it. Patriarch Zhang confesses he failed to see the danger and let things go too far. Since the Ye family was cursed by the heavens, no 7th-ranked martial artist has ever appeared, only the princesses who were destined to bring glory and would never be dragged down by a marriage proposal. The man ignores what they say and just gets angrier. A servant steps in to speak up since the family head's wife is about to have a baby and he seems unwilling to stay by her side. The patriarch stood still, having just made a tough choice. He turns to Yi Heef, telling him that he's going to see his wife and that he must look after their son, making sure no one leaves without his say-so. Patriarch Jang says he might finally deliver a son, just like his eldest, who turned out to be nothing but trash. Yiking Tian asks if a genius could be born into the family, and the patriarch replies that while he wouldn't refuse such a marriage, he doubts it will ever happen. The boy is certain this will happen, but his confidence just makes the man laugh and ask, in the end, not to regret what he said. The other family heads agree with him, while the Ye family just wants to make a fool of themselves and anger the heavens even more. While everyone else talks, Tian just chuckles quietly. The main house where the woman is giving birth gets hit by lightning, which floods everything with a strange, gloomy light. The patriarch notices and twists his line to show they'll only make heaven angrier. With a sly grin, the main character challenges the man to get a better look. Suddenly, a giant fake dragon appears in the sky and slowly coils around the whole building. The man stares in shock, realizing a dragon vein has suddenly appeared in Ye's family, a thing never seen in the Earth realm. It's not just him. More and more spirit beasts are gathering in the house's territory. Fortunately, the heroes didn't waste time, and one of them slipped ancient spirit pills to his father and pumped them directly into his 4 ancestral veins, feeding him the energy needed to finish their plan in just 3 years. Years ago, he asked the system to find a way to put his elixirs into a dish, and the girl did exactly as he said. Facing the 4 ancient beasts, everyone felt tiny and scared as the girls looked around nervously. Slowly, the truth of what was happening seized everyone's mind, turning them into a mass of panic and terror. The whole area suddenly filled with blinding white light, a sign that must have been a war emperor's aura, which seemed impossible for a baby to have even with 4 ancestors and a beloved child named Hyang bringing such a great blessing to his family. The entire family cheered with joy at the wonderful news. The Dragon and Tiger sects decided to throw a grand party for such a wonderful moment. The Qing Chung Sword sect is already hoping for the child to join them. The Lane clan is desperate to track down the 4 ancient healing paths before anyone else does. Up in the sky, things are getting really heated because everyone is furious that someone broke the seal and made the 4 ancestors meridian. So they've ordered the new recruits to destroy that cursed place right now. Yin glances down at the man and chimes in, asking if he's still holding out. The Li clan girl is pressing hard on him, thinking that even with his powerful brother as a role model, he's still too weak at this level to ignore her plan. She'll become a top disciple next year and join the sword sect in 4, and if he hasn't risen by then, they might call off their marriage. One of the elders nods in agreement, realizing the Qing Chung Sword sect isn't for the weak, and this move leaves the hero with no choice but to act. As soon as they heard it, every girl immediately nodded along and agreed with their friend. The next morning, a giant golden bell rang out and caught the attention of everyone in the city. Yao Yao and her lover had already stood up by then, and Ning Tian heard the sound too. A giant scroll floated over the whole city, and people wondered what was wrong since a bell like that always meant trouble was coming. It was over 10 years since the order last showed up in the Tanluo realm, so why did it suddenly appear today? The order has arrived to gather 10,000 kingdoms, and among those being called are the Yi family, including their head Yi Zong and his brother. Patriarch Zhang laughs at the Ye family's trouble, knowing the heavens are watching as their strongest members get sent to the army as payback. The boy stares at the list, completely confused, while his lover explains that it's not a simple order, but a violent raid that will teleport everyone on it straight to the battlefield. Princess Li steps in to back up the girl's words. The Battle of Worlds is a chaotic place where every world clashes and merges, so martial artists from lower realms like Tian Luo end up as disposable cannon fodder who rarely survive. This explanation made the hero furious, feeling that the heavens were playing dirty tricks once more. Patriarch Azong sighs in disappointment, wondering why the heavens seem so harsh on his family. The frustrated man kept pointing at the sky and shouting orders, trying to get his soldiers to support their leader. Ing Tian tries to make a deal with the system by offering it a chance to gain 1 trillion attribute points, but the girl firmly refuses, saying no agreement can be made. Feeling only despair and anger, the guy clenches his fists, yet he is helpless as Qing Tian stares at the cursed list while his beloved sobs. While the Zhang family laughs at their own sadness, the father thinks the best members have been taken to war, leaving them weak, and he plans to kill him the moment he can. Someone slammed their staff onto the ground with a loud clang that echoed through the neighborhood. A spellcaster shouts out to Patriarch Zhang. The man stares at the other man, and in that moment, he knows it's Huang Luni. The Patriarch is furious that the caster is still alive and hiding here after so many years. When they were told to kill the town's people to wipe out the last signs of the old dynasty, Huang Luni slipped away. But today, The patriarch is set to finish his business, a blazing blade suddenly springing into his grip. Hang Looney doesn't hesitate and strikes first. The old leader roars that they are never equals, and the mage pulls his sword to strike them down. The blade drops straight onto his opponent's head. But Huang Looney isn't here to defeat the patriarch today. He just wants to fight, so he blindly shoves the old man aside. His eyes darkened and filled with red, as he knew today would be the day they died together. The fight kept going with explosions and fires popping up all around, some here and some there. Shouts fly from every direction as girls on both sides worry for their loved ones. Dr. Wan is in terrible shape and thinks he won't make it, so while breathing hard, he says he's going to get revenge on everyone. Yao Yao cries, but her grandfather tells her not to be sad because, to him, this is the perfect ending. The doctor gives the hero a jade pendant from Yao Yao's childhood, once owned only by the Northern Manga Imperial family, and asks him to return it to her real parents. He says he'll do it, yet the man still wants to share another secret. Beneath the Imperial Temple of the Tianlu dynasty, a hidden chamber guards a legendary book and a 10,000-year-old demon beast, holding secrets the dynasty would kill to keep, while the man's fading voice forces the listener to lean in just to catch his words. But then his voice fades away completely, showing the man is dead while the girl screams in heartbreak. Meanwhile, King Tian stared at the glowing book from the heavens, wondering if it was truly the one he needed. Princess Dongfang stared in shock at her frozen uncle. Realizing the rival's warning was true, he looked dead. Soon this spot will be flattened, so the heads of the other families will turn and run. The girls follow their fathers, confident the engagement is broken and that the emperor and his guards will take care of everything. Princess Dongfang stands frozen and unable to move away from her uncle's broken body. She promises she will ask her father to avenge him. The princess commands the guards to go, and they quietly follow her orders. Yiking Tian asks Yao Yao to just accept the loss like it's nothing. He gives her a clear promise that no one will ever hurt her. The next day, they held a funeral for Yao Yao's grandfather. The men of the Yi clan bowed with deep respect before the coffin. The father's voice was weak as he called out to Ying Tian. He wants to ask his son one question. What happened in the awakening arena yesterday? And what became of the technique of the 10,000 immortal balls? He struggles to find an excuse while a bead of sweat rolls down his back from the sudden fear gripping him. He shouts out an excuse because the Yin's father secretly helped him, leaving his own dad confused and wondering why he never heard of this stranger. The man keeps spinning his huge lie, claiming he didn't just help them but actually killed the secret heir of 4 great families. And if they still don't believe him, he'll just call them here. YK knows that King Tian is about to use his desperate pupil power to invade your mind by turning into a progenitor. As his family looks at him with doubt, he pours his spiritual power directly into their minds. Suddenly, the men found themselves trapped in a thick fog that had appeared out of nowhere, leaving them completely surprised. Suddenly, a giant paw slams down behind them, making the ground shake and rumble so hard it feels like the world is falling apart. The men's eyes popped wide with shock. A powerful presence radiates from the giant dragon and the figure perched on its head, who reveals himself as the family's ancestor and mentions that Xingqian told him they were seeking him. The angry men claimed their family never had a father, but the hero tells them they have no right to question his existence, noting that many experienced elders from the Yi family can barely handle his powerful aura, so the men beg their parents to stop being mad and forgive them. Xiong commands his brother to kneel and admit his mistake. Yang quietly listens to his brother and does exactly what he is told. But the young man struggles to watch his uncle's father bow down to him, still acting like he's the one in charge. He brings up the plan to start the great battle of 1,000 worlds. As his helper, he carried the rarest treasure he had brought with him. But they can't be used at all, or the Tianlu realm would break under the strain. Yang weeps with gratitude as he accepts the ring, vowing to protect his people's legacy, while King Tian hands over the fire blade to his uncle and begs him to carry the willow branch for the moment when it will save his life. The men bow low to honor their forefather with hearts full of thanks. A moment later, they find themselves back in the regular room of their home, standing right before Yitan, where Xiong eagerly shares with his son how he met the progenitor and received a great gift from him. 3 days later, on the day they were summoned to the 10,000 kingdoms, the people gathered at the ancestors' temple to say goodbye to their patriarchs. The wife says goodbye to her husband and tells him to be careful, while he promises he will return and asks her to look after the children. Ying Tian rushed up to say goodbye to his father, anxiously begging him to be careful. A bright beam of golden light began to wrap around the men of the Ye clan. Slowly, the men climbed toward the sky, and finally, the brothers waved goodbye again and promised to come back. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light appeared, and everyone vanished in an instant. Suzu couldn't hold back her tears, so the hero wrapped an arm around her shoulder and did his very best to comfort her, promising that everything would be okay. For one man, the sun had risen and set thousands of times, the trees had lost their leaves and bloomed again, and it had been a long, long time. A traveler stumbled up to the Yi clan's gate, whispering that he had finally made it. Because of the Yi clan, he had wandered for 10 whole years, and now they would pay the price. Finally, the weary man pushed through the gate, leaned on his broken cane, and stepped onto the clan grounds. All of a sudden, his nose caught a sweet scent that made his stomach twist with hunger. The man followed the scent right to a pie shop. The baker yeasting chatted with the host and happily ate the cakes. The host wished him a good meal and passed over a fresh batch of baked goods. The stranger stared at the hero's food with hungry eyes that made him feel uneasy. With wild eyes, he begs the hero to swap the pie for a book. A system alert popped up, revealing that she had found a celestial book and a reader. The man's idea worked, and he was finally done. Ing Tian wonders if the man truly wants to trade the sun's hot breath for food, but Zhang Dang stands tall and says he's not lying. And if he chooses to accuse, then so be it. He sets the book down on the table and tells me he's heading out to take care of his business. Yiking Tian thought that the name Zhang Dowling sounded familiar, recalling how the Tianlu world's first genius, Ding, awakened his martial arts at just 1 year old, reached the God of War stage by 20, and was now rising from the table at 30 to call out to a wary man. Young Dowling tries to make excuses about his eaten cake, while explaining that the Hot Sun's Breath is a valuable book from the Dragon and Tiger sect. Chuckling, the guy jokes that he doesn't want pie, just for the man to read the words aloud, but the man takes offense, reminding him that he has memorized them a long time ago. Before the sun fully rises, its warmth seeps into your skin as a man begins reading aloud while shielding his eyes, and the crowd closes them too to listen with their hearts wide open. But something feels off because no key appears in his body when he reads, even though the system says he's a reader. Just as he was reading aloud, a yard dog lunged at him, barking so fiercely that he froze in sheer terror. Suddenly overwhelmed by emotion, Zhang Daling blasts the beast away with a surge of his own power. In that very second, the hero thought he could finally see it. A fresh spiritual power took shape inside him, pushing him right up to a new level. And then, at last, the holy seal will finally break. This key packs 5 times the power of the last one, but 5 points were taken away from the reader's words. If things keep happening this way, the second seal will break in just 2 years. But since the reader might walk away, we must give the boy a reason to stay while he thinks about what happened, even as Zhang Ding shouts angrily at the dog. Ying Tian recalls how the blazing sun's heat was born from the wisdom of a legendary first-generation master named Zhang Tian, who shared a secret with the hero while he suffered in the hell of 1,000 worlds. Suddenly, the system appeared, revealing that your memory had failed you and that the scorching sun breath Zhang Tian had given you was still sitting in your inventory, exactly as it was originally. It seemed he had pushed his sun power to the 30th level across all 10,000 hells, and Xing Tian finally knew just how to deal with him. The man boldly tells the monk that his book is a fake. With fierce anger and deep resentment, the monk shouts that he can doubt everything except the burning breath of the sun, for this book is true. Then it's my turn to share a real quote from the scorching sun, as the hero dodges a blow and begins reading his own book. The monk screams in shock, realizing the scorching sun has over 20 levels and that the golden key was never the limit, since King Tin held the truth all along. Young Dawling begs the hero to read the sequel, promising he won't go into debt and offering anything he owns just to get the story. Instead, the young man replies that he wants Zhang Dailin. The monk is left utterly confused and at a loss for words. Feeling embarrassed, he grabbed the guy's hands and admitted he never realized he had such bad luck at that age. But the man agrees, saying he'll do whatever it takes for the sake of the Dragon and Tiger sect. It looks like the monk got it wrong, because King Tin doesn't need the monk's body, but rather someone to stand by his side for 2 years to train the blazing sun breath. With a ridiculous face, the man capriciously replies, "You should have told me right away or my heart almost stopped," and then adds, 2 years to cultivate the breath of the scorching sun? No problem, which makes the hero laugh. He's taking the monk to the clan, where Yiking Tian says he is the young master who will see Zhang Dawen given a proper welcome. The man halts suddenly, staring in wonder. Could this young man really be from the Ye clan? With doubt in his heart, Ying Tian asks if the boat is in trouble, and tears well up in the man's eyes, revealing that the hero was killed by his own mentor brother 10 years ago, prompting a desperate demand for an explanation of why it was done. Yiking Tian reveals that the old man was killed by his father, But when Jiang Ding orders the hero to bring him immediately, the hero explains he was summoned by Isfeng to the battlefield of the 10,000 worlds just a few days ago. After calming down, the monk explains that he is a man of his word who will kill whoever killed his mentor, but he adds that if that person went to the battlefield of 10,000 worlds, he will find them there next time. Uncertain how to reply, the heroes change the topic and invite the man to come inside their home. He also tosses a book to the monk, claiming his ancestor wrote it, and that the rest of the lines are hidden inside. A whole year has gone by, and inside the imperial palace capital, Emperor Dongfang Hong is reading a speech. His soldiers sent a report saying that while they sent their top 3 squads this year to fight a mysterious foe, they were especially spooked by giant monkeys lurking in the mountains and scary, dark willow thickets. The old man refuses to listen to their excuses because he just barely caught Wuzu, and his soldiers are useless. One man steps forward, bows, and shares a daring plan to guide a woman and her 4 children across the southern sea. Because without the 4 great guardians known as Wuzu, their clan is nothing more than dust. The emperor asks how they'll bring her here, and gets a short reply: the Wu clan. The man knew his team's plan, and a smile curled his lips. Eventually, a letter arrived at the Yin family's home from the Wu clan. She grabs the letter with eager eyes. As she reads, the servant whispers, "Madam, the emperor has crushed the Wu clan with heavy losses," and adds that her letter also says her mother is dying and begging for a visit with her children. When she married Zhong despite her family's disapproval, and now that they are in trouble, she can't just watch with tears in her eyes. So Wuzu orders a ship to take them to her family, while Yi, King Tian, and his friends fly a golden winged bird toward the Nantian Mountains. The hero asks his lover when that guy last ate, and she says it was 17 days ago. This year, his seal has just enough life left to last a year if he keeps it up, and he feels lucky to have found such a treasure. Down below, angry shouts erupt as someone breaks into the Ye clan's land. The guy decides to check it out, so he points the bird down. As he heads downstairs, the guy spots a picture of a creepy stranger bothering a girl and sneers, "That ugly toad." The man spins around and asks, "Who are you? How dare he meddle in his business?" And worse, he's plotting to attack Iching Tian and kill him. The enemy is right there, yet Yi King Tian just watches him with cold eyes, not moving a muscle. Just a second ago, the man felt a powerful force coming, but he couldn't move fast enough to get out of the way. Jung Daling slammed his fist down with one hand, sending the man crashing to the floor. The powerful hit sent the man flying backward, slamming him right into the tree trunk. As he cried out from the pain and blood seeped out, the intruder was just left lying there on the ground. Jiang Daling stands tall and ready to protect his friend whenever trouble comes. By unleashing the breath of the scorching sun, the man reveals his true allegiance to the Dragon and Tiger sect as a Sword Palace disciple, admits his error, and begs for mercy. The monk laughs cruelly at the battered man, feeling no pity at all. They didn't carry the powerful aura of the Elder Effect Dragon and Tiger Lord, leaving Yiching to wonder who this mysterious figure really was. Furious with rage, the hero challenges his friend to kill him, and the monk accepts without fear. He follows the command without hesitation and calls forth his inner power. In just a couple of seconds, the victim let out a shrill scream, hit the ground lifeless, and Ing Tian turned with icy calmness to walk away. The girl, cursed by a wicked wizard, flees and stands in the hero's way. In a blur of motion, the guy grabs the pill and quickly shoves it into the girl's mouth. Luckily, the girl is convinced she needs help, so she takes the pill without a second thought. Jiang Daling hugs the weak girl, wondering what the young master gave her, while Iching Tian explains it will destroy the poison inside her. 2 hours later, the girl felt a bit better and finally opened her eyes. She was a little scared, but Yao Yao promised she'd be okay, so the spellcaster thanked her for helping. Yao Yao tells us why she must thank the man she loves. The girl introduces herself as Qing Xuan from the Miao Yin sect and thanks the guy for his help. Ying Tian knows the girl's group well and wonders if she has ever met one Yuan Lolo. The girl knows the Celestial from their sect, and the guy tells her that she is his fiancée. The girl's pretty face twists into a mask of anger and disgust. She yanks her sword up from the dirt and grabs the handle with both hands. Anyone who hurt the Celestial woman deserves to die. So Qingwen drives his sword straight at the man. So many times has this happened that the guy has stopped being surprised, and he promises he is truly committed to his fiancée. The caster lunges first, but the guy dodges. Qing Xuan's eyes blazed with anger as he demanded to know who dared insult his celestial daughter, while the man insisted nothing happened, prompting Qing Xuan to ask the Vesta herself about her engagement to the Ye clan, only for the girl to point out that the 10-year age gap made the whole situation seem wrong. YK King Tyan shifts the topic to question why she is in their land, and the girl replies that her clan ordered her to hunt down the 4 divine beasts. Ing Tian cuts in, wondering if she truly wants his siblings, but Qingwen doubts it since a top-ranked person wouldn't have siblings with divine beast blood. A monk steps in and questions if the 4 divine beasts are truly his brothers and sisters. The caster is desperate for the kids to come along with the dragon and the tiger. King Tian ignores him and turns to the girl, promising to take her to his sisters and brothers so she can see that he is telling the truth. The girl can't wait to see it. Without wasting a moment, they jumped right into their adventure. As soon as he walked back through the door, the very first thing he did was give his mom a warm hello. The servant says the lady ran off to the Wu clan with her kids without telling her oldest boy. The news made Ing Tian freeze, remembering that his grandfather Wu Taihei always hated the Ye clan, so something strange must be going on. The man instantly turns to his beloved, saying he'll visit the clan after his mother, and she agrees to follow his lead since the clan is safe and no one can hurt them. The team sets off, eager to hop on the ride with everyone else. Ying Tian is about to call his werewolf friend, and a swirl of energy is already gathering in the air. A moment later, the loyal pet arrives to wait for his master's command, and the hero tells him to guard their clan and kill anyone who tries to break in. When the guy's friends finally met his pet for the first time, they were famously shocked. Ying Tian called his bird to him right after that. The girl stared in shock, wondering just how powerful this young master was to tame such fierce demons. The next day, a group of killers waited by the clan's outer wall, ready to strike while Wuzu had taken the 4 divine beasts away, leaving the estate defenseless with no strong cultivators left to stop them. The gang leader leaps over with a deafening shout, ordering them to follow him. The men wandered through the area until a voice cut them off, calling out that they were brave to dare invade the Yi clan's estate. The spellcaster's wide, terrified eyes told the man that he had never seen a werewolf before, and the creature happily devoured the grapes, enjoying the whole silly scene with not a care in the world. The men decided it didn't matter who he was, so they were just going to kill him anyway. The werewolf didn't even try hard, just pouring his spiritual power into a hail of grape seeds that smashed into the enemies. It worked, and many men hit the ground, hurt and wounded. Even as the survivors cowered in terror, the pet got straight to work. He knocked out more than a dozen magic users in just a few seconds, leaving everyone else completely stunned. The next morning, Wuzu limped into her father's house with her children holding her up. The kids are confused about why they even came here, especially since they heard that Grandpa hates them. The letter claimed the Emperor had crushed the Wu clan, yet as the woman scanned the silent, untouched manor, she couldn't help but wonder how such a massive defeat could leave everything so perfectly still. Tired and low on energy, she tells the kids to come inside so they can look for their grandfather. As she steps through the doorway, the clan's workers turn hostile, hurling insults and shouting that she is a traitor. Their master truly outwitted her, and as if on cue, the gate slams shut right behind Wuzu and her little ones. The head of the Death Clan smilingly walks out to greet his